Have you ever just looked at the story of human evolution and felt like a key piece of the puzzle is missing, that it doesn't all quite add up? Well, today we are diving deep into a theory that suggests the most important chapter of our history might not have been written on Earth at all. It really all starts with this one kind of shocking number. According to a huge study by anthropologist Dr. John Hawkes, our DNA has been evolving 100 times faster in the last 5,000 years than at any other time in our history. Let me say that again, 100 times. That's not a small jump. That is a massive, sudden acceleration that science is still trying to figure out. And that brings us right to our first big mystery. What on earth could have happened just a few thousand years ago to so radically and so quickly change the very blueprint of who we are? I mean, just look at this timeline. For millions of years, evolution was this incredibly slow, grinding process. Even after modern humans like us showed up, things were pretty steady. And then, bam, in what's just a blink of an eye in evolutionary terms, our genetics just hit hyperdrive. It's a spike that sticks out like a sore thumb against the entire backdrop of our history. So how do you explain it? Well, you've got two very different camps. On one side, you have traditional Darwinian evolution, gradual changes over a long, long time. But on the other, you have the ancient astronaut theory, which suggests something way more direct, that this huge leap forward wasn't just nature. It was an intervention, that someone or something came in and intentionally rewrote our code. And this is where things get really wild, because it forces us to ask a question that kind of shakes our whole understanding of who we are. If this change wasn't natural, could it mean that a part of our family tree isn't from this planet at all? To even start to unpack that idea, we've got to look at the stories. This next part is all about the first-hand accounts from people who claim they haven't just seen aliens, they've been part of some kind of genetic program. And you have to start with the case that really kicked it all off. Betty and Barney Hill's story back in '61 basically wrote the playbook for the modern alien abduction. You've got it all, the missing time, the weird craft, and then, under hypnosis, these terrifying memories of being physically examined by non-human beings. And the creatures they described, we now know them as the classic Greys. Their stories set the stage for thousands to come. Fast forward a few decades, and the stories get even more specific, and honestly more chilling. The claim here from people like Kim Carlsberg isn't just about a quick checkup. It's about creation, a purposeful, ongoing program to create human-alien hybrids. It's a pretty terrifying thought, right? It suggests this long-term plan where humans are being used as a genetic resource. Okay, but you might be thinking, that's all just stories, hypnosis, and fuzzy memories. But sometimes, there's cold, hard, physical evidence left behind. And that brings us to the absolutely bizarre case of a man named Jeffrey Lash. So after Lash died, police found a literal arsenal in his house. Guns, tons of ammo, and a pile of cash. His fiancée swore he was an alien hybrid working on some secret mission for the government. A wild story, right? You just write it off as crazy. Until the coroner's report came back. Jeffrey Lash had no fingerprints. None. They just weren't there. So, a human body with a weird physical anomaly? That's one thing. But what if these kinds of biological puzzles aren't just in us? Proponents of this theory say that if you look closely at the natural world, you can find other fingerprints of something extraterrestrial. All right, check this thing out. The bombardier beetle. This little guy is basically a walking chemical weapon. It has one of the most complex and frankly violent defense mechanisms in the entire animal kingdom. And for some, its sheer complexity is a real problem for the idea of slow, step-by-step evolution. Just think about the engineering here for a second. It makes two super volatile chemicals, stores them separately, then mixes them in a reinforced combustion chamber that has a one-way valve so it doesn't blow itself up. The result is a blast of boiling hot, toxic spray. So the question is, how does that evolve one piece at a time? I mean, what good is half a rocket launcher? And that's the whole point, right? Could this little beetle be evidence of intelligent design? Not by a god, but maybe by some kind of extraterrestrial biologist. A finished product just dropped onto Earth in its final, perfected form. All right, let's bring this back home, back to us. We're going to talk about one of the most compelling parts of this puzzle, a mystery that is literally flowing through the veins of millions of people right now, the Rh negative blood type. So here's the deal. About 85% of us are Rh positive. That means our blood has an antigen that's also found in rhesus monkeys. But the other 15% of us, we're Rh negative. We don't have it. Now, mainstream science says it's just a simple mutation, but the theory we're exploring today asks, what if it's more than that? And here's where it gets really weird. It's not spread out evenly across the globe. The Basque people, who live in Spain and France, have the highest concentration on Earth, more than double the world average. Their language is also totally unique, unrelated to any other. It's a statistical anomaly that makes you wonder if this group has a different origin story. But the real kicker, the thing that makes you go, whoa, if an Rh-negative mother is carrying an Rh-positive baby, her immune system can actually identify the fetus as a foreign invader and create antibodies to attack it. Think about that for a second. Her body literally tries to reject her own child, as if it were from a different species. This leads to a pretty radical question. The standard out-of-Africa theory says all modern humans came from the same ancestors, and they were all Rh positive. So if Rh negative blood causes these major compatibility problems, could it be the marker of a totally separate human lineage, one that was introduced into our gene pool from somewhere else? Okay, so let's step back for a sec. If we follow this trail of breadcrumbs, the sudden change in our DNA, the hybrid stories, the mystery in our blood, it all points to one massive final question. Why? If they did this, what's the endgame? What is the agenda? Well, within the ancient astronaut theory, there are really only two roads this can go down. Are we part of some benevolent plan? A genetic uplifting to help humanity survive and evolve? Or is it something much darker? A slow, quiet infiltration designed for an eventual takeover of our planet? And this is where it all ties back to the ancient part of Ancient Aliens. This quote connects what's happening now to all those ancient myths and prophecies from cultures all over the world. The stories of sky gods who came down, mixed with humans, and promised one day they would return. The theory suggests that maybe this is that return. So here's the real takeaway. When you look at all these different things, the DNA spike, the abduction stories, the weird beetle, the blood mystery, they stop feeling like random, unrelated puzzles. Instead, you could see them as individual threads that, when you pull them all together, might just weave a single, incredible tapestry about who we really are. And that leaves us with one last, kind of chilling question to chew on. If any of this is true, if our past was really engineered by some intelligence from the stars, then are we truly in control of our own destiny, or is humanity's next chapter already written for us?